Observaciones de mi vida, victoria. Mi vida ya está escrita. Victoria. Pero sigo el mismo, nunca cambio, aunque tenga muchos títulos. Ahora muchos me dicen Sabor Latino. Te felicito, mi hermano, eres famoso. Gracias por todo el apoyo, es la respuesta. El mensaje: nunca te rindas en la vida. Y nunca me olvido de esa celda que hasta hoy tengo. Muchas pesadillas, 360, la vida da vuelta. Ahora inspiro familias en una escuela. 7 publicaciones, sueños cumplidos. Que represento, hip-hop positivo. Los dolores ahora son canciones. Más bendiciones, más observaciones y más versos. Ahora más escupo bendiciones. Ahora me despido. Victoria, porque me montan tanta...
So, welcome everyone. Ah, man, so excited again. This is such an honor to be here. You guys know how hard I work to be here, to try to give you guys a lot of learning moments. Before I start, I want to say thank you to everyone that's been following the show, everyone that has supported my books, everyone that just continues to support my work. I really appreciate it. And like I always tell you guys, stay tuned in, because you don't know who's going to be the next person on the Learning Moment with Sabor Latino podcast show. Wow. Today I got some great news for you guys. A lot of the youth been asking me, Sabor Latino, when you bringing in someone with the music industry? When are you finally going to bring someone that knows what's going on with production, that knows what's going on with how to make music, and et cetera, et cetera. But guess what, guys? Today we have one. I want to bring in my next guest, Mr. Bazzini, music producer, been in the industry for a couple of years, producing and writing music and just doing everything that had to do with music. So I reached out to him, knowing him for a few years now. I asked him if he could come on the show and what would be some of his learning moments that he could share with Sabor Latino. So he said absolutely. So I brought him in the show. With all this being said, without further ado, please welcome Mr. Bazzini to the show. Absolutely. Let me give him one more round of applause. You know I gotta do that. Absolutely. So, Mr. Bazzini, thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. You could be in a lot of other places, but you made up your mind that you wanted to come into the show. And absolutely, I wanted to bring you in. I know you've been working in the music business for a couple of years now. A lot of you continue to ask me, Sabor Latino, we need someone that knows about music. And I said, absolutely, I'm going to bring you guys someone that knows about production. And again, has been working with a lot of artists for a while. So, with all being said, before we even get into the music, can you just tell us who you are, where you grew up at, and how was your upbringing? Let's start that way.
All right, well, my name is Mike Bazzini. I grew up on the south shore of Strong Island, down in Seaford. And, I have a nice family I grew up with, brothers, sister. Everyone's always been interested in music. So as a child myself, I discovered my love of music by listening to my father's vinyl collection and learning how to put the needle on the record without scratching it so you don't get in trouble.
Interesting.
After I've gone through his albums so many times and pretty much learned them all, I moved over to my uncle's collection.
Okay.
And I realized his music was a little more spicier, let's say, than my father's. And went, oh, all right, cool. We got a little Led Zeppelin in there. All right. These are people that had music that were from like the 60s and 70s. So I learned my foundation of music through these albums. Little did I know I'd meet some of the people on these albums many years later. Which is very, very surreal.
Right. So actually, just listening to these records and everything, we can say that it kind of motivated you to get into the music business? Is that a safe thing?
It got me interested in music. I wound up having to do, let's say, a talent show in a music class in elementary school.
Interesting.
So I would have to pick a song to sing to showcase in front of the class. And I realized figuring out a song, singing over it, putting together like a little show, I found it interesting. Before, I'd be sitting in class not so interested in the theory part of the music. I'm like, this is kind of boring. I'd rather be in English class or history, not really math. But you know what I'm saying? You know, it wasn't a fun class at first for me.
Right.
And for some reason, the teacher always saw something in me and said, no, you have an ear for this. And as time went on, I started pursuing theater in school and chorus and immersing myself in entertainment, so to speak, and learning music. You know, when you're in chorus, you get categorized by different vocal, by your different vocal range.
Correct.
So I came in as a bass. Wow. And I'm like, I don't want to be a bass. I want to be a tenor because there's more work to be done as a tenor. You sing around more. Bass kind of locks down the foundation. Okay. So you start to, you know, think of music a little bit differently. And while all this was happening, I wound up getting myself a Casio, and I'd start listening to music and realizing I can imitate the music without really knowing the music theory. I started playing by ear. Nice. So that's always been my secret weapon. Right. Is when I was a kid, I listened to music, I'd try to play it, and when I was successful with that particular song, move on to the next song. Nice. Your next challenge. And so I was sort of self-teaching myself music for quite some time. Interesting. While being in classes for, you know, chorus, I wanted to play in a band. Nice. And that type of stuff wasn't really that. Nice. So I learned chord progressions, and I learned how to play with other people, interact with the music. Nice. Nice. Is it safe to say, thank you for sharing that. Is it safe to say that now that you're getting yourself involved with music and really understanding what it is, can we say that music is kind of a way of therapy as well? It's definitely a way of therapy. If I don't work on music, I find myself not really at ease. If I want to relax, it may not be watching TV. It may be trying to write a song from scratch. Absolutely. And then before you know it, I look at my watch and I go, an hour passed by. Wow. 2 hours passed by. Absolutely. And that means you're having a good time. Right. And that means you are helping yourself. You're, you know, exploring yourself creatively. But you're also trying to communicate something. When you work and write on music, you're communicating. So what is it that I'm trying to say to other people? So that was kind of part of it. And at first, you know, I'd be working on songs that didn't really make any sense. Right. I was just kind of proud that I made something. Right. And then over time, you learn all the little tricks and all the little chord progressions that kind of work with each other. And then when you're done with that, then I found myself working on production. Wow. Because I already have the mechanical parts moving around, but I want to flesh it out with something else, with some sort of color. Right. And it was just easy to transition right into that, right? Just having the 100%. Absolutely. Absolutely. So to all the youth out there, everyone listening, right? Interesting story from Mr. Bazzini, how music can actually transform someone's life. How music can be part of self-care. How music can help you as a form of expression, right? You guys, me being in the music business for 13 years, you know that's one of my self-cares. Whenever Sabor Latino is going through one of his moments, one of my things is writing, expression, right? So I kind of understand where you're coming from and how important that is to have that avenue whenever you need it, right? And how also when you're working with other producers or other artists, how in collaboration also can help the team, right? Yes. You want to share a little bit about that, on how when you're working in collaboration, how does that also help the producer and the artist? Well, first, when you're working with people in a group setting, you don't want to be the dead weight. You want to be someone that's contributing equally with the other players. You don't want to go too crazy. Also, you don't want to be top heavy, but you also don't want to be dead weight. You want to be a working member of a team. Absolutely. So when you're working on stuff with other people, it's important to know your role and understand that they're trying to achieve something, you're trying to achieve something. What is that common vision?
I like that.
And how do we get to that?
Absolutely. So to all the youth out there or anyone interested in music, being mindful, this is coming from a producer here, the importance of collaboration, right? The importance of knowing how to play your role, correct? Right? The importance of having respect for the producer or the artist. I think that's all a big part of it, right? And I think another thing too, Mr. Bazzini, being consistent, right? A lot of the times, a lot of artists, they'll start out in a certain way in music or their own lane. And all of a sudden I notice that they want to follow the trend. What is your thought on trying to follow a trend instead of trying to be original?
I'm not a fan of chasing a trend because by the time you get to it, there's a new trend.
Copy. Absolutely.
So you're kind of chasing the past.
Right.
In a sense. When something is current, it's not going to be current for that long.
Right.
So it's good to kind of see a few moves ahead if that's your game. It's also very difficult making your own lane because no one understands it.
Right. Right. Right.
So how is it that you can put those two together? Okay, you can write something a little more catchy and then try to communicate what you're trying to say and sort of not compromise, but find a middle ground for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, trying to be yourself, right? A lot of the times, like Mr. Bazzini's saying, you're trying to follow a trend. Next thing you know, another trend comes out. And the point is, how do you find yourself as an artist? How do you stay consistent with completing your goals? And that's one of the things that was interesting about Sabor Latino was that I never really followed no trend. I was always original. I always said to myself, I'm going to write my own lyrics. I'm going to find a lane where I can represent what I do as a Spanish hip hop artist to a community that really needs it, right? So also trying to find out what is your fan base, right? Who are the people that follow you? Who are the people that really need your message? And that's how you'll be able to make it little by little, right? But thank you for sharing that, Mr. Bazzini. Let me tell you something, guys. We got a lot of great learning moments here coming, right? That was just only the first question going on there. So moving on to the next question, Mr. Bazzini. Thank you for sharing that. Let's talk a little bit about discipline and process.
Okay.
Right? I know being an artist, one of the biggest things is having discipline, but also understanding the process. So my question is, how do you maintain discipline when you're working on long-term projects? Wow.
Well, if you're working on a long-term project, usually you're working with other people. So one form of discipline is not wanting to let everyone else down.
Not wanting to let everyone else down.
You want to put your, put your work into it and work with others and again come to that common vision. So you have that goal in mind of what the project will be. You know it's going to take some work.
Absolutely.
But I personally tell myself anytime I'm in a tough spot where I'm working up behind the computer, it's getting a little later, and I'm like, oh man, I got to edit this thing and do it in a certain kind of way. I go, it'll be worth it.
Right.
I just keep telling myself it'll be worth it. And that's what keeps me going.
Excellent. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Mr. Bazzini. Again, understanding and knowing the process, right? Understanding to be disciplined. And like we spoke on in the beginning of the show, understanding to be original without following no trends. Excellent. I hope you guys out there are paying attention. This is great learning moments coming from a producer that's been doing it for a minute now. And who else can tell you, something that you need to pay attention to, and there's something that could be a learning moment, right? Absolutely. So moving right along, I got a lot of questions for you. I'm not trying to hold you up too long, but this is getting interesting. So my next question would be, Mr. Bazzini, what's one daily habit or ritual that keeps your creative process strong?
That's a really good question.
Oh, thank you.
What keeps the process going? I give myself 1% of my day at the minimum to do something. So let's reverse engineer the math on that.
Okay.
You got 1% of your day. It comes out to not exactly, but almost 20 minutes.
Okay.
If I can't spend 20 minutes on something that I enjoy, then something is wrong. So at the sheer minimum, I'm saying I'm going to put put 1%, maybe 2%, maybe 5%, maybe 10%.
Right.
5% might be an hour. If you do the incremental math.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
That being said,
absolutely.
Come on, you can do something for 1% of your day. It may not even be something creative. I may rewire my studio, and it may seem like a big task. You know, I bought a new piece of equipment. It moves a few things around, and I'm trying to figure out how I want to have it.
Right.
Okay, and what my workflow is. Okay, cool. I put 1% in at the very, very minimum. Obviously, there's a lot more put in. But if I have a task, like I want to reorganize my studio, rewire it, it's going to take a couple days. Easily. Absolutely. If I put many hours into it. If I put in that 1%, a little bit every day, you eventually get to 100%.
Absolutely.
You finish your project.
Absolutely.
You move on to the next one. Now, you may be working on multiple things at 1% or more. But I try to rationalize to myself so it doesn't feel like a big task.
Right.
You can at least spend 20 minutes on this.
Absolutely.
You can spend more time on it, no matter how hectic your day is or life is.
Absolutely. So again, guys, another great learning moment when we're talking about projects, right? Doesn't necessarily mean that you have to put in all day, every single day, like Mr. Benzini said, right? Even if you're working in slow process or slow steps, right? Eventually that discipline kicks in, right? Understanding that these are good habits that you're practicing, right? There's a lot of distractions out there, whether it's social media, whether it's your life, whether it's running around, working and whatever it is, right? So it's very difficult to stay concentrated or focused on the goal that's in mind, whether it's music, production, or creating music, whatever it may be. And just to add that to Mr. Bazzini, I kind of 100% agree. Me being very busy in life, whether it's working with the youth, whether it's writing books or writing music, it takes a level of discipline, right? Yeah. To really understand how do I strategically plan writing another book? How do I make this meaningful, right? Part of creating goals. So in my way that I do it, adding to what you're saying, is really understanding what's the strategic plan in place. Right? What's more important at that moment? If it's that book, how do I create that time to give it that time, like you said, right? Yeah. And then eventually consistency, whether even if you're giving it 15 minutes every single day, right? In a month or two, that goal is going to get completed, right? So always thinking about being original, always think about putting that time in, and always thinking about what is it that you want to create and what is it that you want to accomplish. But making sure that you're giving it that time. Correct, Mr. Bazzini?
Yes. Sometimes
Go ahead.
I'll have a written out plan before I even start whatever it is that I'm going to do. For example, I'm coming home from my day job. I'm going to go immediately into my studio and spend 20 minutes writing a complete song. I'm going to walk away from it. And then tomorrow I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to try to do that every day this week. Let's see what comes out of me. I don't know.
And again, that's part of discipline.
And then you find, all right, maybe by day 4 you go, you know what? I got some good stuff here. Let me reassess this plan I'm putting onto myself. Sometimes you don't have to stick to your own rules. You can change your rules. So absolutely. That being said, this was a true story. I wrote like 4 songs in 4 days. And then, meaning it's like the sketch of a song. It's not like a completed production.
Copy.
But the first of the batch wound up being a single of mine.
Oh, wow. Okay. So in other words, even when you're in this creative process, can we say, you never know what we're going to end up being with that, right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Mr. Bazzini. That was a great learning moment. Really understanding that whatever the plan you have, whether it's an album, whether it's a music, whether it's book, whether it's homework, right? The point is, even if you're doing it consistently, a little bit of time at a time, you'll be able to accomplish that goal. Great learning moments. As we all know, New York City, they say, is a city that never sleeps. Right? People are running around and so many distractions and doing 15 tasks at one time. My recommendation would be, like Mr. Benzini said, learn to take your time. learn to do things in steps, right? But at the end of the day, really, really realizing what is the goal at hand and what is it that you're trying to accomplish. And I think with that blueprint that he's sharing here, or his testimony, I think it'll definitely be possible for you to accomplish your goals. So thank you for sharing that, Mr. Bazzini. Listen, guys, great moments here. Another great guest, music producer, and we're just going to keep going. I know Mr. Bazzini is busy, but guess what? We're going to hold them until we get these questions out of the way. We need to get these learning moments for the youth and for the community. So thank you, Mr. Bazzini. Moving on right along. Now, my next question would be, how do you define success in music production?
Success in music production is first, there's so many aspects of it, but the one aspect of it is being able to do it.
Okay.
Having the proper equipment, learning your software, learning your instrument, working with your artists, whatever it is that you're trying to do. Success ultimately leads to a finished track. So my form of success is when I complete something that I can share with the world.
With the world, absolutely. Excellent. So again, another learning moment, right? What are the things that we're doing in collaboration, right? Because you're working with the artist, making sure that the artist is appreciating what the producer is doing, making sure that the producer is appreciating what the artist is bringing to the table, right? And I'm always big on collaborations. How do we collaborate together and make this work? Correct?
Absolutely.
And I think, like Mr. Bazzini said, success could be completing the song. Success to me can be finishing the first 4 bars. Right? Because eventually when you continue to work on your craft and continue to work on it, you're going to eventually have that song. And that's when the producer comes over. He's going to collaborate and make that successful.
Some people will equate that success with money, with YouTube hits, and things like that. And that's all like the added bonus.
Correct.
If good things happen as a result of the song, wonderful.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But the success for me is getting to that end point.
Absolutely. Right? And again, everyone has different points of views and visions, right? Success for someone might be like, I need to sell 1 million records, right? At the end of the day, that product could be a good product, but whatever that artist feels like that's what is for his success, then that's what his vision is, right? And we're not going to take no one's vision away, right? Yeah. But in general, from Mr. Bazzini's point as a producer, what he's trying to say is that in his vision, success can just be completing the song and putting it out to the world. Correct? Yeah. Excellent. Great answer, Mr. Bazzini. We really appreciate it. We're going to move right along. Now, I want to talk a little bit about mentorship and learning, right? It is so important in the music business to not only learn from what's going on in each learning moment and experience, but also the mentorship aspect. So with all this being said, who has been the most influential mentor in your career, Mr. Bazzini, and how did they shape your approach? Wow.
That's a really good one because along the way, you'll meet a lot of people that want to teach you. Hopefully. I met a lot of great people that I could easily rattle off. Oh, this person's a mentor, that person's a mentor.
And you mentioned that off air.
Yeah, yes, and if I was in the room, in a studio watching a producer or engineer working at their mixing board, I'll watch them. I'll maybe ask some questions. Hey, what does this do? Maybe when the session is done, philosophically talk about some technical stuff. Why would you want to do that versus doing this?
Absolutely.
And you start figuring, you be able to communicate. You learn the language of music on a technical level when you're talking to people. Because in any profession, there's a language.
Yes.
There's always some sort of language. If you're in HVAC, there is a language. If you're doing music, there's a language doctor. Everything, there's some sort of language. So I learned a lot from different people.
Absolutely.
Being in different studio situations. But to go back to your question, one of my greatest mentors, his name is Corbin Dooley.
You want to share a little bit?
I was living in Brooklyn at the time, and I started to do Google searches on people in my area that work on the same kind of music that I'm working on.
Oh, wow.
And I want to see if there's other people doing what I'm doing.
Interesting. Uh-huh.
And this guy, Corbin, his name keeps coming up. So I go, you know what? I'm going to write him an email. So I write him a short little email with my number, and before you know it, I'm on the phone with him, and we're talking.
Nice.
And he goes, yeah, we should get together, and you know, I want to hear what you're doing. And I had what I thought were songs, but they were really a collection of ideas.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I would share with my new friend, you know, we meet and we would get together, and I would play him these maybe, you know, minute and a half song ideas and whatnot.
Interesting.
And he goes, oh, you're making all these things. If you made them a little bit longer, you'd actually have a finished thing. I go, oh, all right. And then he explained to me what you really need to do is learn how to be a DJ. Because if you learned how to be a DJ, you'll understand some of the format of the music. I was making like some electronic music. So he was saying if you spin records, you'll understand how a lot of songs are written. So I learned how to be a DJ to be a better songwriter.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And I was having a hard time at first with the decks. I'm doing vinyl. There's no sync button when I was starting.
Right.
And I was telling my frustrations to Corbin, saying, oh man, I'm trying to beat match and I'm not really sure what I'm doing wrong. He goes, Mike, you like machines, right? I said, yeah, I like machines. You like computers, you like things that are machines. Yeah, I love that stuff. Well, the turntable is a machine. I go, okay. He goes, don't be intimidated by the turntable. Master the machine.
Nice. Okay.
I go, that's it.
Nice.
And that propelled me into a different career, even as a DJ. I started DJing weddings and clubs and touring.
Wow.
All of a sudden, a whole new world opened up to me, and I started to DJ quite often.
Interesting.
More so than ever playing in a band.
Wow.
And I found it to be more rewarding than playing in a band, and there was a little bit less drama because it was just me. If I didn't make it somewhere, it's my own fault. So I have to be at that place.
Got it.
I have to be prepared for a gig.
Yes.
Otherwise, I'm gonna suck, and I'm gonna look bad in front of people. So I'm like, wow, I put a lot of pressure on myself because it's just me. I can't hide behind other members of a band or vice versa. You're out live without a net. You got to do it. So that made me really, really strong as a songwriter, musician, as a DJ, is being thrown into these different musical situations, different challenges, and looking at music from different perspectives.
Copy that, yes.
Because of that whole experiment, I got a lot better at my productions.
Absolutely.
In fact, I started doing really well with it.
Beautiful.
Because I had this other experience when I would DJ certain songs, I pay attention and observe the crowd and see how they would react to different sounds.
Absolutely. And I think one of the biggest thing there too, Mr. Bazzini, not to cut you off, you were open to possibilities.
Yes.
Right? That's a big part. And another thing, if I may share, from what Mr. Bazzini's testimony is that it's also interesting to see how mentors play such a big part. Right? How someone came in his life, he wasn't sure about all the areas of development with music, and here's a mentor which you became to admire and appreciate and respect, how he said to you, well, DJing is another area, this other is another area, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And is it safe to say that he has made you a better producer?
100%.
100%, right? So again, to all the youth out there, I always keep saying it, I always keep emphasizing this, the importance of having good mentors in your life. If I may share real quick.
Shout out to Corbin Dooley.
Yes, and shout out to all the mentors too.
Yes.
Right? Shout out to all the mentors. Shout out to Mr. Bazzini's mentor. Look at the great producer he's become today, right? So again, just that learning moment from this testimony and how not only a mentor can take you far in life and inspire you, but also realizing and being open to possibilities. Right? Just say Mr. Bazzini was the type of individual that didn't have that motivation or wasn't open to try other things in life, right? In music. How far do you think someone would ever go if they're not open to possibilities?
You have to be open to possibilities.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Mr. Bazzini. Another learning moment, right? The importance of a mentor, the importance of being open to possibilities, the importance of understanding that music is just not producing. It can start from DJing and it can elevate your career to other areas of the music business. Correct? Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Bazzini, for sharing that. We're moving right along.
All right.
There's a lot of questions going on here. Moving on again, talking about mentorship and learning, because this is getting really, really interesting. I got a question for you. You know, producers are born every day. Artists are born every day, right? My question to you would be, what advice would you give to a young producer starting out today? Wow.
If you're getting into production, you don't have to go crazy filling out your studio completely. You can start out with your computer, your DAW software, and maybe a MIDI controller. And then minimize the amount of space you're working with, maximize what you're working with.
Okay.
And to learn how to work within your own limitations. Because me, after all these years of working on music, and it's been, like 30, 35 plus years of working on stuff.
A veteran, guys, a veteran.
I've amassed a lot of music equipment, and there's times where I do a studio purge and I sell things just to make room. And I realized the more I've sold, the better my writing becomes. I didn't even need that equipment. It was just kind of like a ball and chain in a way.
Okay.
So I started to free myself of having unlimited possibilities and purposely limiting myself so I can move on. And I always found myself working better in those capacities.
So is it safe to say, Mr. Bazzini, that simplicity sometimes is better?
Yes, and that's what is best for a new producer.
Yes.
Just get yourself a laptop, software, and see if you like it. And see if you can start playing music by ear. You don't have to go crazy with, I never took piano lessons or anything like that. And I turned out to be an all right musician. You know, I play guitar.
Absolutely.
I sing because of my high school experiences and wound up doing a lot of vocal work and recordings because of that.
Copy.
And knowing my strengths there. But yeah, you just work with what you got.
Got it.
And over time, when you truly need something, you'll add that extra module.
Yes.
Or do that little upgrade that you need, but you don't need to fill out, you know, your room full of equipment. If my wife was hearing me right now, she'd be saying, okay, get rid of all that stuff.
Yes. But we're not going to get into that right now. Yes, we're not going to get into that right now. Thank you for answering that. Just briefly, adding to what Mr. Bazzini's saying, I take it with my experience with putting together my podcast. And as you can see, right, very simple, right? Basic microphones, basic cameras and everything, right? I just want it to be simple, right? And you also commended that, and I appreciate that comment when you said, wow, so simple, and it looks so professional, right? So again, another learning moment to a new producer, from a producer that's a veteran, 37 years doing it, just keep it simple. Sometimes simplicity might be the best thing. And also we got to keep in mind, Mr. Bazzini, the finances and the budget. Right? You never want to go under your budget, especially if you're a starting out producer. Correct, Mr. Bazzini?
You don't want to do that.
You don't want to do that, right?
And so if you have a piece of gear that you're not using, sell it to buy a different piece of gear. Don't keep reaching into your pocket and keep putting yourself into debt. Figure out how to use your studio to your advantage.
Thank you. And there's nothing wrong with upgrading, but again, be mindful of what you need. Be mindful of your finances. Be mindful where you're at with it, especially when you're starting out. Get familiar with the equipment. I'm not a producer, but I've been in the business for a couple of years, for more than a decade. I've worked with producers. A lot of them are just basically simple. And I agree 100% what Mr. Bazzini is saying. And I'll just add to that to wrap up this question. Sometimes in life, in all areas, just keep it simple.
Yeah.
Right? And sometimes when you just keep it simple, you'd be surprised how far you can go, and always being open to possibilities. Thank you, Mr. Bazzini, for sharing that. Wow, this is getting exciting by the moment. Right? A lot of good learning moments here. I hope the youth are paying attention. I hope new producers are paying attention, because this show is really getting interesting. So, moving right along, I have another question, but this time I want to talk a little bit about education and skill development. I know a lot of artists just get into the music without studying it. I know a lot of producers begin and they not sure what lane or where they're going. So my question is, when we're talking about education and skill development, Mr. Bazzini, how do you keep your skills relevant in a fast changing industry?
Wow. Well, one way is belong to different interest groups online on the things that you're trying to learn and the equipment that you're using.
Education.
And then you start finding out about different updates and different problems. Maybe there's a problem with a piece of equipment and there's a way to overcome it. There's so much information nowadays than I used to have back in the day, where I could just be in some group and I'm being fed the information on whatever's happening currently. But there's another aspect to how I keep skills more so than being in a group, is I try to challenge myself to learn more all the time. So I learned, for example, because I've been speaking very generally about production, I learned Ableton Live it's on version 12 now. I've been using it since version 1.
Wow.
I know that software. There's nothing new that anyone's going to really tell me about it. And after a while, I'm just like, all right, I'm going to make a song. I know the software. Everything's cool. And I'm like, there must be more for me to learn. So then I started putting together modular synths, where you're connecting inputs and outputs of voltage and gating and MIDI, and things are talking to one another. And I learned that, and I'm like, okay, I hit the wall here. What else can I learn? So now I'm learning, and I'm pretty far along with it, where the new NPCs, it's almost like their own computer within it. There's like an operating system. It's like, not Windows based, but there's a graphic interface.
Interesting.
I can record things into it. I can export out of it into my Ableton sessions.
Nice.
And I've been learning that, and it's been such a great experience, because every time I think that I learned something, I figure out this, oh man, you can do this something and that. This is really cool. And then I have that fire, that excitement. I want to keep learning. I don't want to just keep using the same thing over and over again, and that's it.
Absolutely.
It's always good to keep your finger on what's happening and new ways to improve what you're doing.
Absolutely. Great learning moment again from Mr. Bazzini. Thank you for sharing that information. I always believed in continue to learn, right? A lot of people get satisfied for whatever reason it may be, right? And what I'm getting at with that is that it's important to continue to want to learn, right? If you're in the music business, like Mr. Bazzini said, maybe you want to learn some new different machinery. Maybe you want to learn something different about social media. Maybe you want to learn whatever it is to continue to learn and work on that talent, correct? And I talk about that in my 5th book, You're a Beautiful and Special Person No Matter What, where I talk about the importance of exercising your talents, right? A lot of people make it to a certain level and they only rely on the talent and not on the discipline and execution, right? And I think it's important to all the youth out there, always think about how can you improve as a student. To all the producers out there, how can you improve as a producer? To all the artists that you're writing music, how do I continue to improve? How do I continue to write better lyrics, right? I know, sharing from experience, Mr. Bazzini, every time I'm doing a project with music, I always go back and listen to the prior 2 or 3 albums or music that I might have. And I start thinking about what are some things that Sabor Latino can add that can elevate his message, right? And right now I started writing again, and I always think about how can I improve my lyrics and be more convincing, be more motivating, right? And how can I continue to be that positive voice in my community in Latin hip hop, where every time I put out a project, it ain't gonna be on that same level. And I think that's what you mean, right? Whenever you're producing, you want to be better, right? You always want to have a better version of yourself.
You just took the words right out of my mouth.
A better version of yourself, right? Really highly believe in that. I'll share a quick moment, because again, it's all about learning. A lot of people say, well, Sabor Latino, you have a master's degree, you have KSAC, you're substance abuse, whatever, et cetera, et cetera. But a lot of them don't realize, Mr. Benzini, the effort and the time that I put. I'll share a quick learning moment. Before even doing this interview here with this great producer, Sabor Latino was in the library this morning for 3 hours, as crazy as that might sound. And what do I do in the library? Going over projects, writing some ideas down. You might catch me watching a counseling video. You might catch me doing whatever, right? So again, just working on that talent and exercising those talents to continue to grow and just be the best version of yourself. What do you think, Mr. Mazzini, about that?
You want to be the best version of yourself while being yourself. You know, you don't want to front either.
Absolutely.
But you also, you know, like you're saying, I do the same thing. You recollect on your past work and you want to figure out what do you want to say that you haven't said.
Correct.
What's a better way to approach another topic than what I've done in the past? And that takes a lot of work.
It takes a lot of work.
And
discipline.
See, I write lyrics, but I really focus a lot on sound. I really enjoy the manipulation of audio and sound and sampling I enjoy, but sampling things in the real world.
Copy.
So when it comes to lyrics, yeah, it's always good to figure out different ways of communicating and to strengthen what you're doing. I agree with that.
Absolutely. Again, another learning moment. This is just going to continue with the learning moments and the learning moments. But again, just answering that question, being mindful of the importance of reevaluating your work. Be mindful about what's going to be your next delivery, whatever that you're doing. And making sure that all the time, whatever you're working on, that you're growing, right? And becoming a better version of yourself. Because remember, once you become an artist or producer and you got followers, people are watching and listening to your work, right?
And the last thing you want to do is sound exactly what you just did.
Correct.
Yeah, there's always an evolution to what you're trying to do with any artist that wants to better themselves.
Yeah,
so
take it to the next level.
You want to just keep evolving. So I understand what you're saying about lyric writing. You know, you want to evolve from where you were before. Even in that sense, you have your own evolution beyond the evolution that the public perceives.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Wow. Great learning moments, guys. We are going to continue. Thank you for that, Mr. Mazzini. Great information. So moving on, we talked a little bit about personal. We talked a little bit about discipline process. We talked a little bit about goals and vision, mentorship and learning, right? Education and skill development.
We've said it all.
We talked a little bit about producer identity and values, right? Now let me ask a question about producer identity and values, because I think this is super, super important. What's one thing you change about the music production industry, if you could, Mr. Benzini?
Give me one moment for
Sure. Again, guys, for the ones that didn't hear the question now is for Mr. Benzini. What's one thing you change about the music production industry, if you could? Wow.
Unfortunately, it's the problem in all industries. Greed.
Okay.
There's way too much greed. And in the music industry, greed is even more rampant because, you know, in other industries, you can sell a cog to another individual and there's a tangible thing. Music is invisible.
Yes.
So people, because you have this invisible product, so to speak, it's so easy to take it from somebody.
Correct.
To say, I wrote that.
Right.
And then you go, wait a second, I wrote that. No, we wrote it together. You know, you write the song. Prove it.
Correct.
You know, so there's this whole thing. I'm not saying I went through that, but there's a lot of that happens where there's people that will prey on new artists And this is, common sense stuff where they signed the wrong deal.
Correct.
And
That's a good question.
They realized many years later, oh my God, I signed the wrong deal.
Yes.
I lost it. Look what happened to Taylor Swift.
Yes.
She had to she had to fight to get her rights back.
Absolutely. If I may, Mr. Bazzini, I want to share something real quick because, again, all learning moments in the music business. One of the things that I've done, right, being in the business in February makes 14 years, was that learning the value of being independent, right? And again, everyone has their own vision, but this is just Sabor Latino speaking from my experience and my learning moments. I know a lot of the times I've been offered a lot of money, and I'm saying this respectfully, right? This show is about being respectful, but I kind of turned it down because I was not going to sell myself for money. My mission has always been positive hip hop. And a lot of the times people say, well, that doesn't sell Sabor Latino. But I knew deep down inside my heart that I wasn't going to sell myself for people to get rich off my sufferings or for my challenges or for everything that I went through in my life. So with this being said, my learning moment was that if you stay independent, it all depends on what you're trying to do with your career, right? A lot of people get in it because they want to get rich off of it. A lot of people get in it because they want to stand out, whatever it may be. Sabor Latino's mission was, I'm going to do it my way, but I'm not going to let no one kill my dream. And what that said was, I saved my money. I studied the business. I said, where am I going to get it distributed? What's the population that I'm trying to target, and etc. And 14 years almost coming, I'm still here doing it because I believed that this is what I wanted to do, right? I didn't follow no trend. You will never hear Sabor Latino following a trend. The same thing now, adding to what I'm saying with the podcast. I put it, and we spoke about this off air, on how I put the strategic plan in place. I found out who was going to be my distribution. I put up my own money because I always believed in doing it in a way where I'm getting my message out and not sell myself. And the last part I want to share, Mr. Bazzini, was that, and we spoke about it off air also, was that no matter how far Sabor Latino continues to grow, I want to be more humble, right? And I want to be more honest, right? A lot of the times we have to be mindful that when you're talking about the music business, like Mr. Benzini saying, a lot of the times it could be people just want the profit or people want to use the artist, whatever it may be. What I'm trying to get at is just be mindful and be careful of what kind of contracts you're signing, right? Because you don't know what you're signing. You might be signing your life away. I know there's 360 deals, there's these kind of deals and everything else like that. I personally wanted to do it independently because that's what I believed in. I'm not saying that's going to be everyone's way of doing it, but that's the way Sabor Latino has done it, and I'm still here going on 14 years. Anything else you want to add that to, Mr.
There's like there's a million and one stories on this. There was a time where I was contacted by a producer before I was a producer, playing in a band. Says, come to New Jersey and play for me and the guy that owns the studio, and we're gonna have other people there, and you can perform. We really like what you guys are doing. We want to see you live.
Nice.
So we got excited. We never had an opportunity like that where someone's, gassing us up.
That's right.
And
so be mindful.
Yeah, this was a band called Dystopia One that I was in the mid-90s. So we do this performance, and we're feeling pretty good. And we get called into an office. And right before that, the main guy, the producer, asked me, what's your goal? And I said, I don't know, man. I just want to record music without having to pay for it anymore. That's why I'm a producer now.
Correct.
But little did I realize what I said was the opposite of what he wanted to hear, because we went into another room and says, okay, I want to produce you. I want to have you come to the studio. Okay, cool. So what's next? He goes, what's next is you give me 30 grand.
Oh, wow.
I said, wait, what? Yeah, you got to give us 30 grand. I go, for what? You're the producer and you have the studio.
Okay.
We're the guys giving you the music. And he goes, no. What happened? You don't have a rich uncle? I told him, we're three idiots that live at home. What are you talking about?
Right.
At the time.
Yeah.
And we laughed in this guy's face. We thought it was the funniest thing we ever heard. He goes, he actually thinks we're going to give him 30 grand. We said that in front of him as we laughed and rocked out.
Right.
But there are people like that.
Misleading.
Yeah.
Correct.
And there's just
Correct.
story after story, not necessarily about me, about other people, other artists. You hear these things all the time. People are always getting ripped off.
Absolutely.
What if I gave this guy 30 grand? What would happen? Nothing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you for sharing that, Mr. Bazzini. Again, wow, what another learning moment. Being mindful who you're getting yourself involved with, right? Reading your contracts over, thinking about, do I want to go major or do I want to stay independent, right? Not everyone's going to take Sabor Latino's route. But again, all this is about learning moments, right? Mr. Bazzini shared about how he got involved in music. He shared about how it was great to have that mentor in his life. He shared about goals and visions. We spoke about education, skill, and development, and so many other areas, right? But guess what, guys? The time is running short. We don't want to let Mr. Bazzini go, but he has to go. He's got a wife that's waiting for him at home. But before he goes, we got to get this last question in, Mr. Bazzini.
What's up?
Huge question. Personal growth and self-belief. Wrapping this up, can you share a learning moment in your career that taught you to believe in yourself more? Wow.
There are always learning moments, and that's the thing that you want throughout your whole musical career. You always want to learn something and rediscover something about yourself.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
you know, I've been, like I said, doing this 30, 35 years, whatever it is. 2 months ago, I recorded for my mentor, Corbin Dooley. I got to record on his next solo album. That'll be coming out probably next year.
Nice.
And I kind of came into it 1 month prior to the session. And the session is at this amazing studio called East West out in LA.
Nice.
And Corbin was bringing me out to it. And I was all excited. He gave me all the music. And then he gave me sheet music, which I'm not used to. Remember, I talked about how I never really had piano lessons and stuff, but I can read it. And, you know, I figured it out along the way. And
it worked.
I had, you know, a lot on my mind. I was playing with another band that I never met and people I never met. I had sheet music. I had to practice as if I was playing in some band.
Wow.
While I was home and going, okay, this is probably what my place will be. In the band. There's already another keyboard player. I'm going to be playing keys. There's going to be a drummer, bass, multiple guitars. So there's already a lot of things happening. Where do I fit in?
Correct.
What do I bring? So
correct.
I figured out how to just be myself. Going back to that theme.
Simplicity.
Based on my playing style and what I wanted to bring to each song. And as I was playing, I was realizing I was learning a few new things along the way that I never really thought about. The way I was playing the keyboard, the way I was manipulating the equipment. And I was just buzzing with how happy I was feeling. I didn't want to leave the studio, and I was there for 12 hours a day for a few days. We did 11 songs in 3 days. It was a great experience. And I wanted to keep recording. And I kind of did. When I got home, I started adding other things to the songs while not at that studio. Say, hey guys, we missed a few things along the way. There was a little bell here. There's a little flute over there. Let me, you know, kind of pick up on those items so we don't have to worry about it in the future.
Absolutely.
Again, being a team player.
Right. One thing that I want to share that I think is very important, Mr. Bazzini, which all correlates to what we're speaking about personal growth and self-belief. I think in this testimony you're giving here, I think it's important to also realize the part of gratitude, right?
Yes.
Here's this person that came in and opened that door for you, gave you an opportunity, went out to LA, huge studio. I had the pleasure of looking at the videos and the pictures. Very motivating place, right? So again, but we also have to be mindful about being thankful for that person to give you that opportunity, right? And who knows where he'll go from here? You might see him with the next big person, who knows in life, right? But again, a learning moment, being open to possibilities.
Yes.
Being thankful, right? And before I wrap all this up, again, we spoke about personal, we spoke about discipline and process, goals and visions, mentorship and learning, education and skill development, producer identity and values, and lastly, personal growth and self-belief. Thank you so much, Mr. Bazzini, for being here. But before I let you go, just in case any of the fans, any of the community wants to know where you're at, can you just share with the community where they can find you on your social media channels and platforms, just in case anyone wants to work with you or anything?
Well, first off, you can email me. My email is really simple. It's mike@bazzini.com.
And Bazzini, is that with 2 Z's, Mr. Bazzini?
I'm a 1Z Bazzini. So it's BAZINI.com.
Okay.
So mike@bazzini.com. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Amazon, Spotify. Search my name or search other projects like I mentioned. There was Corbin Dooley. There's another project with another producer mentor that I've worked with. His name is Martin Beasy.
Nice.
I worked with him for many years.
Nice.
There's a band called Controlled Bleeding that I worked with.
Oh, wow. Okay.
All these things you can type into YouTube. You might see me playing live. You might see or listen to a recording that was
made.
That we made together, or I produced, or they produced, and I played. Whatever the case is. But one of the last things I talked about. My last single that I had written was actually the song with Corbin Dooley, and it's called Feels Like. If you go on YouTube and put that in, check it out.
Nice.
Corbin Dooley, Feels Like.
Wow. I appreciate you, Mr. Bazzini. Before I let you go, any shout-outs to anyone? Are you good?
I think I shouted everyone out.
Excellent. So,
shout out to Sabor Latino.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. Listen, guys, this has been another great learning moment. I want to personally say thank you to Mr. Bazzini for taking the time out of his busy schedule, producer, family person, husband, etc., etc. But he made the time to come into Sabor Latino learning moment and just share some of his experiences in the music business. And I'll wrap it up with this to everyone or all the young artists or producers that want to get in business. Please listen to what Mr. Bazzini said. Take the recommendations that I've given you and how I stayed independent for almost 14 years and I'm still here, right? And more importantly, always remember how important collaboration is. Wrapping all this up, I want to say thank you again to Mr. Bazzini. I'm going to give him another round of applause. Thank you for coming, Mr. Bazzini. Hopefully in the future we can stay in touch and do some other great things. And remember, everyone be safe out there. And don't forget, it doesn't stop here. We have other guests that are going to come in Sabor Latino's show at the ending of this month. We got something scheduled for next week where we're going to be having a PhD student, social worker license, talk about his learning moments in the areas of education. All right, guys, thank you again for everyone's love and support. Be safe out there. And another episode has just been finished. Thank you, guys. Blessings.
Peace.
Hace la vida significativa, nuevo disco. Hip hop